taking an area called Krasnogorivka not far away. Does that represent major change on the battlefield? Probably not. It's a window of opportunity that will begin to narrow now as Wagner forces return, presumably to be redeployed on the front line. I think if there is to be any lasting change out of this, it comes from the perception of Russia's vulnerabilities exposed on Saturday. This idea that what happens on the battlefield here in Ukraine can have an impact internally inside Russia.
Polls in Greece will close in less than 2 hours. Voters are casting their ballots in the second round of the parliamentary election. The ruling New Democracy Party won the majority of votes in May, but not enough to win outright. The party's leader, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, is hoping for a second term as Prime Minister. Well, let's cross to Athens now to speak to John Seropoulos, who's outside a voting station. What's been happening, John? Well, Rob, the outgoing government of New Democracy, which is now looking for a second term, points to the fact that it didn't actually manage to fulfill its economic promises because it was buffeted by crises. First there was COVID, then there was a crisis between Greece and Turkey in the summer of 2020. Then, of course, there was the Ukraine war and energy inflation. But, says the government, although we have overborrowed in order to pay for those crises, we are now going back to a very strict fiscal policy. They point to the fact that there's a primary surplus in the budget for last year. There's an even bigger primary surplus this year of $2.5 billion versus a forecast deficit of $4 billion. And so we're going to be putting public finances back on track. We're going to regain the trust of international moneylenders. We're going to achieve AAA status for our sovereign bonds, so the borrowing costs of the country will go down, and we're going to attract investment from all sorts of people within and outside Greece. That is the government promise. They're urging people to go to the polls to give them a strong majority and therefore a stable government in the parliament with which to carry out that program. But it was for purely technical reasons that they weren't able to do this in a first round of elections on May 21st, which I've explained in this report. Stability is the key word in this election. That is what New Democracy leader Kyriakos Mitsotakis says he seeks, and why he didn't try to form a government after claiming 41% of the first vote a month ago.
The voice of Athens resounds across Greece tonight. Let it also resound at the ballot box on Sunday. Only then will we end this 2-month election marathon with a result that will give the country a stable government, a new democracy government, a result that will give us the strength to implement our plan for a southern Greece.
Mitsotakis' problem in May was